everybody, and welcome to That's Absurd, Please Elaborate. I am Trace.
And I'm Julian.
This is a show where we each answer a silly question using all of our powers of science communication research. And I think that's it. What else? Is that everything they need to know?
And hopefully we're funny?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we're funny. Sometimes we're funny.
Yeah, funny looking.
Hey,
But it's a podcast. It's the ideal medium for that.
Wow, you are handsome. You look like a cross between Chris Pratt and another handsome human like Jennifer Connelly.
Wow. You look like you're like very imposing and intimidating, but also kind of inviting. You're like if Jason Momoa and Aquaman and Khal Drogo had a baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just Jason Momoa.
That's just Jason Momoa, isn't
wow.
it? It's all the same guy.
I wish I was that handsome. I'm not. Normally, the caliber of jokes on this podcast is way worse, so you're welcome.
Anyway, so before we launch into our respective questions this week, first of all, as of this time of recording, we just launched the podcast, for us. You listening, you're in the future. We're in the past. We're when it just came out. Congrats on launching!
Yay, launched a podcast! Yeah, I'm so happy. I hope y'all are listening to this, and maybe you listened to our earlier episodes. We did crack the top 200 science podcasts on our first day, which was pretty exciting.
There are more than 200 science podcasts?
I was scrolling through. There are a lot of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Bill Nye has a podcast. We did not get ahead of him, but we did get ahead of a few that seemed a little more in the pseudoscience area, and I felt good about that.
That's great. I want to be leaps and bounds ahead of those podcasts. Bill Nye can be, at the top of the pile. He's earned it.
Yeah,
okay?
He's been around a while.
I love Bill Nye. I will be 200th place behind Bill Nye any day.
What if Bill Nye is listening to this right now? What do you want to tell him?
Thank you for making difficult elementary school days bearable, Bill. When that cart wheeled in with the TV and the VCR and the song kicked and the lowered Bill, I was like, this is going to be a bearable day in elementary school for me, a tiny nerd. So thank you. Thank you for that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Bill. Thanks, Bill. Bill.
Do you have any science news stories you want to get into? There's one that caught my eye. For me personally.
Honestly, my toddler was sick this week, so I didn't get anything done.
Yeah,
so
and
if you've got one.
And, back in the past, again, listener, bear with us. Also, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out Friday.
Yeah.
So I have done basically nothing since then. But before that happened, I saw a news story where Saturn has 62 objects around it that they're possibly going to classify as moons, like newly discovered moons, which would make Saturn the most mooned object in the solar system with 145.
What? Jupiter's going to be so jealous.
Yeah, Jupiter has 95, but Saturn, if these are all, approved by the great
The Moon Council.
The Moon Council. The mighty Moon Council. Saturn will be the most moony object.
Huh.
Yeah.
What is the best name that they selected for one of these new objects?
Oh, I don't know. Do you think they're all named? They probably are.
I doubt they're all named.
I mean,
coming up with moon names is pretty crazy.
Yeah, how deep can you dig in Greek and Roman mythology before you start running out? Like one of the moons that Saturn already has, officially approved. By the way, all of these are like much smaller than our moon. They're like 1 mile to 9 miles in diameter. They're not even spherical. A lot of them are kind of like potato-y shaped, right? But there's one right now called Pan. That's a...
Pan?
Yeah, and I'm thinking that's like the little satyr character in Greek mythology, right? So like, I guess you just go through and you just keep naming them like Narcissus and Tantalus and...
Ooh, Tantalus.
I recently learned about Tantalus, which is a character in Greek mythology who was in like neck deep water with delicious fruit just out of reach above him and water he couldn't drink just below him. And it's where the term tantalizing comes from.
I mean, it sounds tantalizing and also horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. And one of the elements in the periodic table is named after him.
Tantalum.
That's right. So that's interesting. But aside from more moons, going around Saturn. I've just been playing Tears of the Kingdom. That's been it for me.
I mean, that is still a lot of moons and, a lot of video gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. I think that some of those moons are definitely going to be weirdly shaped, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be round moons. There's going to be potato moons, just like you said. Are there any pointy moons?
I see where you're going with this. Well, I mean, pointiness is all a matter of scale, right?
Is it?
Isn't it?
Oh.
Right? Like, the closer you get to something, like, the more you zoom in, right? Maybe it looks pointy from afar, but then you get close, fairly dull.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's true. Like, a needle seems pointy to my sensitive skin.
Right.
But if I get really close to it, it's basically like a rounded kind of chunk of metal.
Or like a knife, right? And different knives can look like they're all going to be really pointy, but then you try and slice a tomato, and some just go right through, and some you just get
you're just
tomato
sawing back
paste.
and forth on that thing, and you're like, "Gah! Where's my knife sharpener?"
So I guess that tees up nicely your question for this week. Do you want to tell the fine folks at home your question?
Yes, my question to you, Julian, was, what is the pointiest thing?
When you search what is pointiest, all the results are what is sharpest, right?
Which is not the same as pointy?
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
Because the sharpness sources and videos, like SciShow popped up right away. They just had one come out like very recently on like what is sharpest. And these videos always get into that minutia of like, well, how do you define sharpest? And so you get things. It was fascinating to watch, like knives, when you zoom in, right? There's a couple important details, like the edge radius, right? Like when you actually look at the edge and it forms basically like a little semicircle, like what's the radius of that edge? And smaller radius, sharper knife. Also, the wedge angle. So like after the little semicircle edge, right? Like what angle do the two sides of the knife form with each other? And the smaller the angle, the more narrow, the more sharp. That's all cool. But then it gets into like, well, what if you're talking about things like a needle and blah, 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 blah. For some reason, when you ask what is pointiest, my brain went to like these tungsten rods that like tanks shoot, I don't know if you know this, but like when a tank fires an anti-tank shot, right? It's not like a big like bullet bill thing.
Okay, that's what I pictured.
Right.
With an angry face on it.
No, it's
that
really
Mario
interesting.
hits with his butt and it just falls to the ground harmlessly.
That's how
disappearing in a puff of smoke.
That's how anti-tank defense systems works. No, what it is actually, it's a long, thin rod that comes to a point, and it's usually made out of something like tungsten, or if you're American, like depleted uranium, and it's in like this shoe thing inside the cannon, and as soon as that comes out of the cannon, like those parts fall off, and you basically have like a huge, very fast-moving dart.
Oh,
that's it. And it's like made of tungsten, and it hits like tank armor, and it just has so much force concentrated on this little point that it just goes right through tank armor.
Exactly like when somebody with high heels steps on your foot.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Or when
that's
you step on a Lego.
That's pressure is like force over an area, right?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So it turns out my instinct on like tungsten and needles and stuff was not too far off of what is actually the sharpest thing. And it is a tungsten nano needle.
A nano needle. So it's quite small, below micro. So we've got,
very small.
Micro, nano.
It's very, very small. The tip of the tungsten nano needle that is in the Guinness record books as the sharpest human-made thing is 1 atom in diameter.
So actually, it's just 1 atom.
Like a line of like just a bunch of single atoms in like a conga line, basically. Yeah, of tungsten. And tungsten has an atom of tungsten, according to the internet, has a diameter of 0.141 nanometers.
That's small.
Yeah, that's assuming it has all its electrons. If it's ionized, it's even smaller. The electron shell is smaller.
Gosh, that is a tiny, pointy thing.
It's very pointy. So by comparison, right, like the edges of some very sharp blades, like a scalpel made of sapphire, 20 nanometers, So,
that's huge in comparison.
Yeah,
Orders
right.
of magnitude huger.
Yeah, much, much larger. Or obsidian glass blades, that you might use on some ancient weapon.
Like if you want to maybe kill some dragons, and you're like, I found this dragon glass. Do that. Maybe
Exactly.
Kill a couple White Walkers.
Yeah, if you wanted to do that. So it'd be effective because the edge radius of obsidian is about 3 nanometers, right?
Ooh, wow.
Very, very sharp.
That is quite...
But still about 20 times larger than the tip of this tungsten nanoneedle. Wow. And that technically answers your question, and I think that's all well and good.
I love it when we can technically answer a question.
But I had another question.
Oh.
We asked what is pointiest in life, but Trace, we didn't ask why is pointiest in life.
I don't even know how to parse that.
I mean, why would anybody make a needle with 1 atom thickness at the end? What's the point?
When I when I thought of the question, I'm like, I had just cut myself, and I thought, ow, and then I thought, how pointy is this thing?
Yeah.
Like in my head, I was like, oh, does it just come to 1 atom at the end? And it's like just that one little atom out there being like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Or is it, it doesn't, I don't know.
No, it's probably not. It's probably several atoms or molecules wide typically on the thing that you're going to find day to day. Because like a tungsten needle with a 1 atom tip is going to be really, really brittle, right? If you actually poked anything with it, it would just snap off.
Okay, because it doesn't have all the atoms behind it kind of supporting it.
Yeah, the trade-off, right, always is like, okay, if you have something like stiff, it's usually brittle, right? Like that's a problem with, the obsidian glass is brittleness. And
this is sort of what we talk about in my therapy session.
You can be strong, but you'll be more brittle.
Yeah, you really got to like get other people behind you that support you so that you can achieve your goals.
Are you sure it was therapy and not a multi-level marketing meeting?
Honestly, I don't know. Now.
Therapy
they both make me feel good about myself.
Yeah, like group support is great, but unless they start, you need like $3 from all of them, and they need $3 from like a group of people below them.
Oh gosh, oh no.
Then that's a pyramid scheme.
I did try and sell Cutco knives in high school.
Oh wow,
I was terrible at that.
We're bringing it back to knives.
I was really bad at it.
It's all related.
It's all related.
No, so you're day to day, right? You're not going to come across anything that thick, right? You'll maybe have something several microns wide, as the edge radius, but not like single atom.
And just before we move on, a micron versus a nanometer.
Yeah.
A micron is 10 to the negative 6.
Yes.
So a decimal point with 6 zeros. And then the nano is not negative 9.
Yes.
So it's hugely smaller.
Yeah. So put another way, a micron is 1,000 nanometers, right?
There
it's
we go.
10 to the 3 larger.
Yeah.
Okay, so why then would you want to make a needle that can't poke through anything, with this little tiny atom tip, right? And it's useful for scanning tunneling microscopy.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds fancy.
It
I don't
does.
know what it is.
I will explain. First of all, you make the tungsten. I thought this was cool. You put it in a solution that's got a lot of hydroxide, right? So basic solution, and there's like a steel plate attached to the end, and the tungsten wires like sticking out of it. And the solution forms a little meniscus, a little ramp up the side. And then you apply an electric current to the tungsten and the steel, and this causes the formation of tungstate, or 4 oxygens and a tungsten, which is W, so it looks like ow. And that tungstate dissolves into the solution, and it eats away at the tungsten wire where the meniscus is, and it slowly sharpens down, and eventually you get that atom thin end point, and the wire breaks, and you're left with a very, very, very sharp needle. Then you can use this for scanning tunneling microscopy, and this is when you want to resolve images in a microscope at literally atomic scale.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, like, optical microscopes are limited by the wavelength of light, right? You can't use light after a certain point and resolve an image clearly. There's a limit to how small and like close together two distinct points can be before you just lose it with an optical microscope. So this is why we've come up with all sorts of fancy electron microscopes. And scanning tunneling microscopy, though, it doesn't work like a scanning electron microscope where you shoot a beam of electrons at something and then like read how they bounce off. The way it works is you get your surface, like a metal of some kind, and you bring your tungsten nanoneedle really close to that surface, and you apply a voltage across the two.
Yeah.
And as you move the needle above this surface, when it's close enough to an atom, the electrons from, the surface or from the needle will literally jump from the surface to the needle, or vice versa. They will tunnel through thin air or the vacuum or whatever, and they will basically just disappear off of the atom and appear on the tungsten needle tip.
And we can tell that they did that.
Yes. And so then you just monitor the current in the needle. So when it comes close to these atoms and the electrons jump on to the tungsten needle, you see a current spike and I'm close to an atom here. And you can map atom by atom as you go along, because when you're in the spaces between atoms, you're too far away for the electrons to jump to the tungsten nanoneedle. And you can map out the surface of a substance one atom at a time.
Wow.
It's awesome.
So is that how we get like pictures of DNA and other things like that?
I don't think we need it for DNA. I think we can resolve that with... So Rosalind Franklin used X-ray crystallography. So she used electromagnetic wavelength spectrum.
It was fine because DNA is big enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're talking about if you want to go, like you have a piece of gold foil or something, and you want to go atom by atom and map every single atom in this substance, you can do it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's really cool.
It relies on that weird quantum phenomena of electron tunneling because electrons, we think of them as particles, but every particle also has wave-like properties.
Yes.
Right? And when an electron hits a barrier, the wave of the electron doesn't just die at the barrier, it kind of continues on a little bit. And if the barrier's thick enough, then the wave dies out in the barrier. But if it's a really, really thin barrier, and when I say barrier, I mean just like
gap,
the space of a vacuum, if that is thin enough, then the electron wave still continues a little bit on the other side of it, and then the electron can appear there, and sometimes it just does.
It keeps going.
It just literally tunnels through. This is a major limiting factor in how computers are being built, because our little transistors are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But at some point, if the transistor is so small, it won't act as a gate that like stops electrons anymore, and that functions as a zero in your computer.
Right.
If the electron just tunnels through that, then your gate is open even if you want it to be closed, and it screws up all your computing.
Yeah, they'd have to have a lot more error correction then.
Yeah.
It'd just be like, oh, cool, we need to really understand quantum mechanics in order to build any computer that's smaller than, a few nanometers, really. Is what
any of these little transistor size, right? Any of these little chips where everything on them is getting like billions and billions and billions of transistors, and at a certain point we're going to hit a size limit.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, this is something we've done videos about in the past, is quantum tunneling and the issues with computing, but I never thought about it in terms of scanning stuff. Like, that makes total sense. We're essentially using that problem with computing for a benefit in scanning. Really cool.
It's a edge that cuts both ways.
Oh, wow.
I know, so many edge puns.
You've said that's the point so many times, and I've been trying to keep the puns down, and I can't help it.
I've been doing it unintentionally, but I guess I just have a sharp wit. Okay, one more cool thing you can do with these tunneling scanning microscopes.
Yeah.
And that is, you can also use the tip of this nanoneedle to pick up atoms and rearrange them one at a time.
Oh, easy. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
In my house.
So check out this.
I'm a toddler. My God.
What do you see there?
There's a picture, and it's little circles. It's on a black background, and it's 3 across and 3 down. Well, technically 5 down, and then 3 across, and it's the letter I.
Yeah, that's the letters IBM spelled out with 35 individual xenon atoms.
And they just moved them around and
they picked them up with the tip of these, very, very fine pointed needles and moved them into place so you can arrange and engineer things at an atomic scale with these pointiest of pointy needles. And that was done, the IBM image is from 1985.
Wow, thanks for the tip, Julian.
Yeah, that is your answer. So that's thanks to Gerd Binnig and Heinrich Rohrer, the 2 scientists who came up with this method of making a tungsten nanoneedle and scanning tunneling microscopy. They won a Nobel Prize for it in 1984, and they're your answer to what is pointiest in life.
Wow, a tungsten needle. 1 atom thick.
1 atom pointiness.
I mean, that's pretty pointy. Is there a smaller needle we can make that's a smaller atom that would then technically be pointier?
Maybe? Probably?
Wow, great.
Would you want to? I don't know.
I don't know
Just for
either.
the record? Just to make this episode outdated at some point in the future?
If it happens, we'll do it again.
Well, yeah.
Well,
because we're pretty on point with this podcast.
Okay. Well, on that, let's go to a quick break. Julian, give me your best dinosaur roar.
Oh, God, an asteroid! It's horrible!
Wow, that was not where I expected that to go. We're popping in before the show to tell you about I Know Dino. It's a dinosaur podcast.
We think of those dinosaurs being this thing that's been dead for tens of millions of years. Even so, studying dinosaurs can still teach us stuff that is relevant to the world today.
Yeah, like climate models to help us understand global warming.
Migration patterns of dinosaur lineages, they tell us about Earth's changing continents.
We can also study dinosaur diets, what plants lived then and maybe what animals and how they interact.
And, this is super cool, many dinosaur injuries, paleopathologies, they're the first known occurrences of diseases.
And they talk about all this kind of stuff on I Know Dino. It comes out every week with new dinosaur stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like, I hadn't heard of a lot of these, which is pretty cool.
You can find I Know Dino on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And if you found us, you can probably find them. Go check them out. Welcome back, everybody, to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. Trace, you have an answer to my question. I think about how much humans have altered our environment and the world and how we've just kind of spread everywhere. And then I wonder, if we disappeared tomorrow, what takes over? Is it dolphins? Is it octopuses?
Wow.
Is it dinosaurs? Do they make a comeback? Once humans are gone, who's running the show here on planet Earth?
I love this question. This is something I think about all the time. And I do remember hearing about this once. And so I went back and I looked into all of this stuff. So the question again, if all humans disappeared, which species would take over? Do you have any? You said dolphins, you said octopuses.
Yeah.
I did look into both of those species, so we'll get to that.
Good.
Are those the ones that you think would take over? Do you have one that you're like...
My assumption is, right, like the thing that made us successful was like intelligence and being able to use tools.
Yeah.
So it's like that, maybe sea otters, I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, those are my guesses.
So, okay, great. It seems like we're very aligned here, which hasn't happened that much on this podcast when it comes to the questions. So, in a world where magic, poof, humans are gone, the first thing I thought of was actually microbes or fungi, which is actually the least satisfying answer. Right. Like if you were just like, hey, humans are gone, who's in charge? The trillions of microbes that were here before they were gone.
I feel like they're in charge right now and they're just letting us think we run everything.
Yeah, that is the point. Yeah. So I started to draw some boxes around this question and be like, okay, cool. Because microbes, there's already more than humans. So it can't just be number of things.
Yeah.
Right. It has to be like, by takeover, we mean like they're affecting the planet on some big scale actively. They can't just be about sheer numbers, because if it was just like biomass, like plants, there's a lot of plants, there's a lot of other animals. There's 4 out of 5 animals. You can't just say what animal, because 4 out of 5 animals are roundworms. So
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of nematodes
I had no idea.
out there. Yeah. Most animals, most things on our planet, not humans, as it turns out.
That I knew there were like more species of beetle than like anything else, but I didn't know that 4 out of 5 animals were roundworms.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 nematodes. What's up?
Wow.
Yeah,
way
amazing.
to go, nematode.
Yeah, woo. So I decided also that it needed
I want to get like Team Nematode
Team
t-shirts.
Nematode t-shirts?
So in case they have an uprising.
Nematode.
Yeah.
I'm on Teamatode.
I'm on Team Toad.
Teamatode. Team Nematode.
Team Nematode.
Teamatode.
The fighting nematodes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I would love to go to that STEM education-based high school. Hey, are you a magnet school? Yeah, we're the fighting nematodes.
Fighting nematodes. What up?
Whoa. Gross. High school's such a petri dish. Lastly, I also said they had to take over the land of the planet. Because again, the oceans, like humans don't even live there now. So if we say, what's going to take over after us? Like, well, we haven't technically even taken over the sea. So I figured all of that stuff had to apply.
Getting to land is, I can understand that, right? Like, yeah, we're running the land. That's the pinnacle, right? We climbed out of the water. Everybody still in water is just lazy.
They haven't tried hard enough.
They didn't adapt, or they did, and then they went back. Dolphins.
Jerks.
Try to come back here on land, you
They
cowards.
showed up and they're like, ugh, I'm going to go back in the water. This
It's
sucks.
too hard. I'm all heavy.
You know what? That was basically me when I was 8, though. If there was a pool around, I'm in the pool. I'm not out on this. I'm not out. I'm in the pool playing around.
You're not fit to run the planet, Trace.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
You're weak.
So takeover means an animal multicellular species larger than microscopic, actively reshaping the planet.
Okay.
Using those very specific things, I want to note there is no way to know this. There is no answer.
That's a good ambiguous thing to say in case you pick the wrong horse. If it is horses and
I
they
didn't
take
even
over.
look into horses because, man, if humans disappeared, I don't think horses are going to last that long.
If most of us get raptured and we're left, the horses will get their revenge. And and they'll see you in that Team Nematode shirt and they'll be like, oh, yeah?
You backed the wrong equestrian species. I was going to say horse, but it would be weird to say you backed the wrong horse as like a supremacy horse.
Yeah.
You know, like a prime horse.
You backed the wrong jockey. You'd have to think of it from like the horse perspective.
You backed the wrong primate, but then you're backing a nematode. I don't know if this works. So we can see into the near future just looking at DNA. What species are close to us and knowing that we succeeded, maybe they would succeed. So primates, definitely at the top of the pile. However, there's not any single species that's like waiting for us to topple over, right? There's not like some species that's like, man, if it weren't for those pesky humans, we'd be in charge.
Curse you. They're the mole people underground. Just waiting for their moment to strike.
That's funny. It'd be the naked mole rats down there. Yeah.
It all comes back to Sophie's naked mole rat future.
So there are a couple of ways we can formulate our guess as to which species might take over. And the first way to guess is just look at plain old history, right? We've had several mass extinction events. Those extinction events have happened because of ice ages. The Great Oxygenation Event was one where bacteria dominated the planet and did, you could argue, take over everything. Their oxygenation killed a lot of things that weren't aerobic bacteria. And, you know, that was a pretty big deal.
Wow.
So we can learn from that. And then 65 million years ago, of course, we had an extinction event off the coast of Mexico when a big asteroid hit. We all got kind of screwed. Well, the dinosaurs mostly.
Yeah, great for mammals.
Yeah, really good for us. And that's what I'm saying we can learn from this. So Professor Dirk Schulz-Mackluck, a German professor of astrophysics and astronomy. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Professor Dirk. A lot of large animals died in that extinction, and some small ones survived. The tiny mammals, we did it. Congratulations, everyone. Team Mammal, woo!
We were the mole people hiding in the caves, waiting.
Right. Yeah.
Waiting for our oppressors.
And then those giant dinosaurs.
To get wiped out.
Boom, down. Hey, this is our time. Let's go.
Woo, rise of the mole people into just people.
Yeah, just regular people.
Yeah.
It took millions of years, but we eventually got there.
Yeah.
I always think it's fun when physicists step out of physics and go into literally every other discipline. It's just one of my favorite things. They never stay in their lane. And he says, based on that, he thinks, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Naked mole rats.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But what?
He just says it because he likes them. And also he's an astrophysicist and not an ecologist. But I love that he went for it.
He heard episode 3 with Sophie. Maybe Sophie found this in her research.
That was great. So if we look at these extinction events, we can see that smaller mammals or smaller animals typically don't die off in mass extinction events. But we're not really talking about a mass extinction. We're talking about, poof, humans disappeared. There's not like a nuclear winter. There's not something that's destroying the planet.
Right.
It's just we're losing one major kind of change factor, on the planet. So a second way to guess is to look at disasters like Chernobyl. And a few years after Chernobyl, even just a few years later, it became essentially a wildlife preserve. Nature started taking over even in urban areas. It didn't matter if there was radiation because tumors aren't really contagious. So it does kill a lot of things, but animals, they just keep going.
Yeah.
They just keep breeding.
You just got to make it long enough to have offspring.
Right. And to that point, a rodent that lived there, the vole, adapted to have more offspring. And so the radiation would get some of them, but then other ones would live to be able to breed themselves. It can't just be rodents, because again, I don't find that very satisfying.
No.
But rodents are definitely mentioned several times in my research because they can breed a lot, they breed very quickly, and they also are quite intelligent.
Have mammals kind of made themselves like, basically we have like a fallback in case like more mass extinctions, because there's still some mammals that are small and breed at prodigious rates and can survive in little holes if like another asteroid hits, or I think mammals kind of locked down the like controlling planet Earth for the foreseeable future.
Our lifeboat is bunny rabbits, and rodents,
rats.
And they just live in the holes.
When we get wiped out for one reason or another, they will eventually be the genesis of the next mammal all-conquering species.
I'm into that.
See, this is the dinosaurs. They messed up. They got too big.
Yeah,
they
didn't leave behind a little teeny version of themselves that wouldn't become a chicken.
Yeah, and that's their bad.
Yeah, it really was. It was a mistake on their part.
It's poor planning.
So I added another kind of little asterisk to my research saying they have to have some drive to dominate the planet, which prey animals don't typically have, right? So a vole or other small rodent might not have the drive to like go and explore and find a new area and then take over that area and then go and explore.
Yeah, they're just not ambitious enough.
That's what it really is. Those lazy rodents. And if there is one thing the history of evolution has taught us, is that life will not be contained. It breaks free. It expands to new territories, crashes through barriers painfully, even dangerously. But, well, there it is.
Life finds a way.
Sorry, for those that don't know, that was a quote from the documentary Jurassic Park.
So Dr. Ian Malcolm.
So the question still doesn't have this satisfying answer for me, so I started looking into it, and again, kind of narrowed the search a little more. They have to dominate their population and the globe in some way. That doesn't necessarily mean a big population. They have to dominate on their intelligence and social measures. They have to, be able to use tools or build societies, and then they have to dominate by interest or ambition. They have to want to do it. On longer timescales than human history, like millions and millions of years, a lot of different animals could do this, but most experts think that it's going to be a carnivore and probably a predator. So, and that we're using both the history and these mass extinctions to kind of pull those forward, I think. So like in Chernobyl, wolves are quite common. They're an apex predator. They are there. And other predators as well. The prey animals, they get bigger because there are no predators around. And then the predators get bigger. And then the prey animals get smaller in terms of population and so on until things kind of balance out. And humans are essentially an apex predator. We're like the apex of the apex. We're the tip of the top.
We're the pointiest.
We are
We're
pointiest
the tungsten
thing.
nano needle of animals on Earth.
That's exactly right. So we have all these different apex predators in these different areas around the planet. We've got things from like brown and polar bears. We've got big cats like leopards and jaguars and lions and wolves. And they're not big cats, so it's a separate group. And then there's, of course, fish like sharks. There's reptiles like crocodiles, cobras, and pythons. All of these things are apex predators in their niches. And other, in the ocean, you have all sorts of different ones as well. And the invasive species that live in these areas usually die out, they think, or predators will find them and start to eat them. They're invasive now because we're not doing anything about it. But if nature were to be let loose again, all of those things would eventually normalize on the thing of millions of years. However, what species are we always told will take over? Like, oh, if there's a nuclear war, they will still be here.
Cockroaches.
Right. Experts do not think cockroaches will be here if we are not here. If you snap your fingers, no more humans. We are a source of water, food, shelter, and warmth for a lot of species. Cockroaches are one of them, as are rats, interestingly. And another species that people sometimes say they might take over, dogs. Dogs live with us. They've evolved to live with us. And so without us, they don't think they would survive particularly well. Though 800 million dogs live out just in the wild without humans, they probably won't dominate, especially not like the pugs. Because they can't even live without humans now.
You have some genuinely wild dogs, right? Like dingoes and stuff. But the escaped, like, feral or just, like, non-neutered breeding dogs, they still tend to live around human population centers and eat whatever refuse or, rats or whatever. Like, they kind of adapt themselves around. They don't, like, go back into the savannah or something and then, like, form packs and then run the place out there, as far as I know.
I mean, I haven't been out there because have you seen the wild dogs? They're like running the shop. I don't know.
Playing poker.
No, so they're too reliant on other species. So are many plants, which is interesting. So corn we grow, this is sort of a sidebar, but the corn we grow came from like what looked like a sprig of wheat. We just selectively bred it over tens of thousands of years to be this big ear that we could eat. Carrots are the same, as are a lot of other foods that we eat. So without humans, a lot of that would revert over millions of years to something that was less intense for them to grow.
I think themselves. I remember reading like corn is really dependent on us because its way of pollinating itself is pretty archaic and not very efficient or something.
Yeah, they also, a lot of the corn we grow is genetically modified at this point and purchased. Seeds are purchased. They don't even germinate on their own. Yeah, so it gets really messy.
Yeah, they can't have like a second generation, right? Yeah, but that's by design, so you have to keep buying seeds from Monsanto.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but
that's the business model.
Hey, it's a fine business model if you can get it.
It's just factual.
And that also applies to livestock and other pets and animals that live in cities, like pigeons and rodents and stuff. So in a book, After Man, A Zoology of the Future, Dougal Dixon has one animal that he thinks would do really well. Any guesses?
Do not say naked mole rats.
It's ants. It's ants. I'm not going to say naked
That makes sense.
Ants.
Yeah.
They've been around for 500 million years. A study in Scientific Reports independently found the same thing, that ants are not the traditional choice, but in general, they're social. They build, they fly, they dig, they have infrastructure, social culture. They can communicate over long distances through vibrations in the ground. They work together to dominate environments. And, given millions of years, they could take over. Would it look like us? Would they become intelligent? That's like a whole other kind of question. But, maybe they could build ant-sized spaceships. The National Aeronautics and Space Ant Administration.
So it would still be NASA.
Yeah, because it'd have to be. They could build the Anternet and get ant flicks. They could ant flicks and smell because, they have pheromones.
Yeah, they could not use the app Hive, though. That's for bees only.
Yeah, that's for bees.
Or Bumble.
That would be...
Bumble. They can't use Bumble.
They can't use Bumble or Hive.
Yeah.
Can't use Twitter either because that's a predator.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's a scary spot.
Don't go on the bird app.
Don't use that.
You don't know who's posing as an ant, but is secretly a bird.
Everyone on the internet is secretly a bird. I thought, what if they built cars? What car would they build? And I thought, Chevrolet trucks. They can haul 1,000 times their body weight or something.
You'd think they'd go for like a sporty car, like an Alfa Romeo Spider.
Predator again. Spider! So that is something that the ants didn't sing to me either, no pun intended, because ants are so musical. If you've seen the musical Ants.
The documentary musical.
The documentary music. So what are some other smart animals? I just really wanted to just pick some animals and see why or why not they might not take over. Mm-hmm. Chimps, bonobos, genetically the closest to us.
Yeah.
If several million years go by, it'd be pretty easy to picture them taking over.
Sure.
Right?
Especially with all, like, the stuff that's laying around already that's, like, kind of made for chimp-like hands.
Yeah.
You know?
There's only one person who knows whether they'll take over, Charlton Heston, and he's not telling. So we are going to move on from chimps. They already have a big population. They have a good starting point, but we have no idea if they're going to take over because Charlton's not telling. So then we have baboons, which are the next largest brain in the line. So their brain to body weight ratio is called Q. The Q of a baboon is quite large. So they're already pushing boundaries. They live in forests, but you can find baboons on the edges of forests, pushing out into human populations and going elsewhere. So they definitely have that interest that I mentioned, that like ambition. They want to go other places, which is pretty cool. They band together to fight other predators, but are themselves also predators. They're social. They're intelligent. Could be baboon life. Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't be Bumble. It would be Babumble. We mentioned dolphins earlier, so I looked into them. They don't really want to be on land, you know.
Yeah, they gave it up, right?
Yeah. So that would be a huge change and like another backslide in their biology. So
all these ocean-born mammals, right, were like formerly on the land, and they went back in the sea.
Yeah.
And they lost it. But if you look at like dolphin flippers, right, under X-rays, it kind of looks like hand bones and stuff. It's like homologous structures.
And whales have like pelvises, but they don't really have legs anymore, and it's just like super interesting.
Yeah. But they gave up their shot, you know.
They could have taken over.
Yeah, they wanted to get back in the hot tub. Nope.
It's hotter now, thanks to the humans, though. Jerks. So you mentioned octopuses, and I coincidentally had looked into octopuses as well. They're extremely intelligent. They can use tools, which we both identified as important. They're ambitious. They're smart. They have deception, like they can deceive, which we learned in our lying episode. They would need a major evolutionary shift to live on land, and I think I'm about to blow your mind because this is so cool. Humans, our blood uses iron to capture oxygen. Octopuses use copper.
Octopuses use copper?
Yeah. So some cephalopods use copper in their blood, which can grab oxygen, but is less efficient than iron.
Oh, I didn't know octopuses also had copper-based blood. I know horseshoe crabs are the one I think of every time.
Yeah, same.
And it's cool because like it has some like medicinal value. So they have like horseshoe crab blood farms.
Yeah.
And because of the copper, the pigment of their blood isn't red. It's blue.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks
not know,
like science fiction. So some cephalopods have copper in their blood as well. And so they need an oxygen-saturated environment. One quote that I read said, cephalopods have done remarkably well and have gone as far as they could with their inefficient circulatory system.
Oh, man.
And I was like, wow.
I mean, you don't just switch from whatever the copper-based, chemical molecular structure is to hemoglobin, though. You can't just
that would be a huge shift. So they're out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we've got birds, which we haven't really talked about, but they use tools. They work together. They're social. They have some basic language and cultures, some different species of birds. And without humans, a bug population would immediately bloom. And that means populations of animals that eat bugs would bloom too, like birds. So maybe we'll return to a time when dinosaurs ruled the earth.
Oh, wow. The teeter-totter between mammals and dinosaurs. It's anybody's
tipping
game.
Back the other way.
Anybody's game at this point.
Experts say that could happen. And also we know that they wouldn't need to invent airplanes to get around.
Yeah.
They just fly
They're
around.
one step ahead of us.
Unless they invented our crappy diet, in which case then they would definitely invent airplanes.
Yeah, so long as they don't eat fried chicken.
Yeah, they'll be okay. They just eat fried bugs instead. Very good source of protein. Okay, I do want to wrap it up with just one more thing. Alan Weissman has a book titled The World Without Us, which is almost exactly this question. 500 years after humans magically vanish, what does the planet look like? He spends a lot of time on the ecology of it all. So he says rodents, quite adaptable, could survive without us, just not the same species that we know now. Think of the voles in Chernobyl. Millions of years from now, maybe they breed a lot and they produce a lot and they exist. But the human cities would become ecosystems in their own right, etc., etc. But in this book, he said that one species outshines them all. And it's something that I haven't mentioned yet, which is just species with a lot of biomass now, all over the planet. So in this book, they said that the dominant species would be a predator carnivore. It's a population that actually eats a population that eats the bugs. It's a smallish mammal, so if there's a disaster, it can survive. It's intelligent. There are lots of them already. They're on the top of the food chain. They're apex predators. They live near humans, so there's lots of them now.
Okay, I think I know.
What is it?
Meerkats.
You got half right.
Dang it.
Just
cats?
Cats.
Really?
Cats. Wiseman says cats will take over.
So he's a cat person.
Cats, he says, quote, to the BBC, are very successful non-native species all over the world. Everywhere they go, they thrive. That was the one I liked best. I was like, definitely cats.
Honestly, I look at my cat and I just routinely go, you're the perfect animal. Not in like the, oh, you're so cute way that everybody is with their pet. But
it is though, right?
You are silent. You are intelligent. You are covered in weapons. You can fall from enormous heights. Like,
yeah.
There's a super predator that I cohabitate with.
Yeah.
And it lets me live every day.
The only thing that you have on it is that you're bigger and you're a source of food and entertainment. And so I wrote, the interest part is where cats are currently not interested in spreading around because they're being spread by these humans.
Yeah.
But if their source of food and entertainment disappeared, maybe kitties become the dominant species on our planet.
They're just using us to set themselves up in the shadows. And soon the Great Cat Council will press the button that eliminates all humankind. Once they've spread around enough.
They even have thumbs.
Yeah, little
teeny. I mean, they're far away from the rest of their...
Yeah, little dew claw things.
They got everything.
But they could come back. They're just waiting there. They just move down over a few, million years, and then bam, they got a little hand. Or there's a lot of cats that are born with like an extra kind of thumb.
Yeah, polydactyl cats. I've had some of those.
There's a ton of those.
Yeah.
Those ones are like giving away the game too early. All the other cats are like, dude, you weren't supposed to have the thumb yet.
Come on, rascal. Stop it. Rascal.
Mittens.
The thing is, if you visited the planet where cats took over, you could probably just win. Just bring a bushel of cucumbers and a laser pointer, and that planet, you could destroy their whole society.
Yeah.
Just throw a cucumber in the middle, and everybody's like, "Wah!"
Or like start smuggling in catnip. And get them all addicted.
Them all hooked on catnip.
and then take over once they're all addled.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So note to listeners at home to be ready for the cat uprising.
The cattening.
Yeah. Be sure you have a lot of catnip.
Yeah.
And a laser pointer.
Oh.
And one of those sticks with a long string on the end.
Really long.
Yeah.
And a little feather on the end with a bell.
You can distract them and drug them in time to escape and regroup.
Oh, man. Everybody has zombie apocalypse. What about the cat apocalypse?
I love it. The cattening.
And you really need to know what's going to happen. And so that's it. So what species would take over? Maybe ants. Maybe baboons. My money's on cats.
It's going to be a real interesting fight. It's a shame we won't be here to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll all be living on one of Saturn's newly discovered moons.
That's more pointy.
That's the pointy moon. And it's all come back around.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. If you disagree with us, please let us know in whatever social platform we are on.
I want to hear people's pick for what would take over.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually, thinking in hindsight now, I think meerkats, have a good shot. They're sociable.
Yeah.
They eat small things.
Totally.
Yeah, they communicate.
Just like we do.
Yeah, they've got hands.
And also, they're really good friends with warthogs.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the drive, isn't it, right?
No,
they're not ambitious enough. They're just happy to eat bugs and not avenge their friend's father's murder.
Yeah, I mean, Timon wasn't. Maybe other meerkats are really ambitious. I don't know. We'll have to get out there. Maybe there's a Gordon gecko that isn't a gecko but is a meerkat and just a very confusing name.
So hard to keep track of all our potential rivals now. I'm going to be so skeptical of my cat when I get home.
Everywhere. There's someone everywhere.
Just waiting for us to slip up. Well, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in your feed in 2 weeks with another That's Absurd, Please Elaborate. In the meantime, we're always looking for more questions. You can tweet us at That's Absurd Show. You can find me at Huguet Out on Twitter.
You can find me at Trace Dominguez, and there's also a form on our website or down in the show notes where you can submit questions and links to all of our stuff. So thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Leave a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.